What's the worst case of rich kid syndrome you've seen? One of my college classmates wrecked his Range Rover over winter break and came back in an Aston Martin. In college I wrecked my 1998 Toyota and came back in a 1998 Toyota with the front bumper missing. Not so bad if you went to college in 1999. Haha, good point. This was in 2015, so it was pretty used by then. That's one hell of an upgrade. Had a similar kid at my college. Wrecked his Mercedes CLS 63 AMG and came back in a Lamborghini Gallardo. My fiance's cousin. He managed to crash 4 cars while still in high school because his father would replace them. When he moved on to college, he got kicked out of several apartments for owning a dog when they weren't permitted. He told me he didn't care though, since his father also funded his continuous stream of new housing. From what I last heard, his father is now paying for his long-standing cocaine habit. In middle school we were asked to draw our homes for some assignment and hand it in at the end of class. A popular, extremely wealthy kid that sat behind me raised his hand and smugly asked the teacher for another sheet of paper because he couldn't draw it all on one page. His friends just snickered, but I was cringing. Even at 12 I remember thinking it was such a snobby thing to say. Bragging about your parents' money is honestly just sad. Especially when people are adults and still do it. I still see it in my 30s. For some people, the best thing about them is their parents. I come from a poor family. Feels bad, man. At least you had a family. I was just poor, but it was an amazing time and I'll never be as free as I was back then. At least you were poor. I'm still. I like how this has turned into a competition. Especially if they inherited it. When I first started in home industries, I had just 2 things in my possession, a simple dream and £6 million. I had a girl like that in French class high school. We had to draw and label our house floor plan and Francaise and Cat raised her hand and asks how many floors because she kind of lives in a mansion. For other purposes Cat was pretty cool, but she bragged about her wealth a lot. In Spanish she had us draw our dream home, which I think in theory was a better assignment, but I wanted mine to just be all hallways, which is technically a maze I think. Are you half bull? Reminds me of a girl in a class I had who said we're not rich, we only own 5 houses. If you own more than 1 house you're rich, relatively speaking. Face it, if you own more than 1 house you're rich, relatively speaking. In some countries, if you own anything, you're rich. Wait, you guys own things? San Francisco. I own all kinds of debt. I rent my debt. Someone's sister got $600 shoes, so the parents got the other kid shoes of the same price to stop their complaining at it. It was a birthday present for the first kid. I should have said that. Holy crap. Somehow this is the one that got me. My friend literally throws away his change because he hates holding coins. Doesn't matter if it's 99 cents, he'll throw it away. That shit adds up. Like, in the bin, in the trash. Your friend needs a slap with a coin purse. A slap to the coin purse. Make sure he is asleep to make it all the more painful. If I get like $3.10 as change from a pizza, I'll give the 10 cents or whatever as tips. But any trash? Are you kidding me? I used to do this back when I had a weekly cash allowance from my dad plus a credit card with no spending limit he paid for. I hate myself for doing this now and wish I'd kept all that change. Don't hate yourself. We can only do better when we know better. Glad to see you've grown past your old attitude. Many don't. Well done you, and keep it up. I used to do this. Now I put all my change in a big cup and donate it. I once saw a guy drop a coin out of his pocket, look down to see that it was a quarter, and keep walking. I thought to myself, must be nice being rich. If he passed on a quarter, what coin was he hoping for? The Nintendo DS just came out. It was like $150 and my family lived in a cramped 1-bedroom apartment and drove a 20-year-old car that was always breaking down. We ate those cheap bags of Walmart beans and rice for months at one point. I expressed the desire to own one after my friend said he had one, and I got why. Can't your parents just buy you one? I don't get it. It's dirt cheap. He didn't want to be my friend after that anymore. Literally avoided me and made fun of me for the rest of the year behind my back. I'm still salty about it. Maybe not rich kid syndrome, but middle class kid syndrome. AHH middle class kid syndrome. That's what all my classmates had. I grew up solidly middle class. Would been lower middle class at best had it not been for my parents' frugality and money sense. I'll give them that. In a town that was the definition of upper middle class. In the South too. So people like to show off their money. I got a lot of what you just described. Why can't your parents just buy it? Paired with a clueless expression. Because money is not actually limitless. Hate to admit it, but I really hope some of those guys crash and burn once they make it to the real world. That's just rude, man. We couldn't get me one till like the thirds was already out, lol. My friends never cared about us not having money because they were the same way, LMRO. It's been 10 years and I still can't afford a thirds. Young celebrity posts a pic of a house they just bought. That house isn't that nice. My cousin's house is way nicer. My cousins live in a mansion in Tampa, Florida. It always rocks their world when they visit my studio apartment in a Miami ghetto and use my 3MB/S internet. Rich relatives doesn't mean you're rich too. A mansion in Tampa? I just thought there were strip clubs there. Excuse you, we also have Cuban sandwiches. My fraternity brother's monthly allowance of $2,000 was cancelled from his parents because he made a few F's. He then called his aunt for a separate allowance. Apparently there was this 15-year-old girl who was going on an exotic vacation to some Pacific island or something, but her favorite show was on TV the day of their flight and she really wanted to see it. Her parents delayed the flight so that she could watch an episode of her favorite show. Oh my god. I think I'm done reading this thread. This makes me irrationally angry. Rationally. Babysat some rich kids. A couple gems when we were watching a movie and she said someone was ugly because they were poor. Another was that they left their stove at the side of the road for hobos. Kid was about 11. I nanny rich kids and I know exactly what attitude you mean. Mine think that anyone who catches the bus is dangerous and poor and will kidnap them. They mocked a girl who got a scholarship to their expensive school so much that she transferred back to a public school. The mother has me sit in the house doing nothing for up to 8 hours when they have tradespeople in because she's convinced they will steal. The mother also declutters their old crap by dumping it on their cleaning lady because she knows all the refugees in X city and there are people who will really enjoy this stuff. It's a nice idea, but we are talking about old underwear with no elastic, soft toys with giant stains and missing limbs, school bags that are so old the plastic material has hardened and cracked off, and felt pens with no lids that dried out years ago. She just has no concept of what real people's lives are actually like to think that they might want this garbage. To be fair, as a broke-ass college student that just recently moved, leaving unneeded furniture and appliances on the street for hobos is way cheaper than paying to have someone trash it. Went to school with a crazy rich kid. His parents divorced and each decided to buy his love. Mommy owned a real estate agency, so she got him a license and spoon-fed him enough sales for a 6-figure income. The dad then bought him a magazine. Yes, the dad bought a magazine for his 24-year-old cokehead son to run. Worked about as well as you'd imagine. Holy shot, bro. That's some terrible parenting there. This is pretty tame, but it's what I got. I used to work as an after-school babysitter for a loaded doctor couple with 2 kids. My job was mainly to pick up the younger kid from school and hang out till his parents got home. He was a good kid, but coddled and immature. He was in 5th or 6th grade at this point. Oftentimes he would not be at his classroom when I came to get him, and the school campus was huge. Different buildings, courtyards, playgrounds, the works. If he wasn't at his classroom I had to comb the whole campus, and he was rarely in the same place twice. He had a cell phone, but usually ignored its existence except for playing games on it in the car. The school was in the city, and I had to park on the street. A couple of times I wound up with parking tickets because, despite having stuffed the meter with enough quarters to presumably result in ample time, the search for my charge would take much longer than anticipated. After a point, I mentioned this to him, calmly asking that he respect my time and stay in a set location so that I don't end up with a $25 ticket again. He looked at me with a good-natured shrug and said, well, that's not much. You can afford that. Sonny, your parents paid me $140 a week, and I was in college. I know you live in a $1.4 million house and your dad buys you an expensive new toy every Sunday, but with the money they're forking over for your education, someone ought to have taught you the value of a dollar by now. But honestly, he was a nice kid. They moved away, and I hope he's doing well. Should have told his parents. They could have paid your ticket. After all, it's not that much. What's the worst case of rich kid syndrome you've seen? Comment below.